So that's the recording begun and we are back live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Harriet. Just for everyone's benefit, just as was stated before, Marion Unison has had to leave the meeting, so I have taken the chair. We've had a fruitful discussion behind the scenes and asked for legal advice, but if I could ask the legal team to run over what has been discussed.
Can I just check, Ms. Black, do you wish a roll call again at this stage? Do you feel that's appropriate?
I don't think so. We were all in the main meet and we're all back, aren't we?
Everyone's back in. And I
Everyone's
see
back
Mr.
in.
McIver there too, thank you.
Yeah.
So just in summary of discussion that's taken place, there was some legal advice sought around the variations to the licence and what that might look like, and a discussion around that. There was also legal advice sought in relation to any specific condition that might be put on the licence and whether a time period was applied or not, and the legal advice was given in relation to that. There was also a discussion just between members around the pattern development, the merging at the property in terms of the environment. There was good discussion around the training and whether it was felt that was adequate or not. There was also a discussion around the licensing objectives, and that was very key. There was quite a bit of discussion around what those what potentially any variation may look like if it was suggested, and whether there could be a variation, as well as a warning letter and advice was given in that regard as well. Just to be clear, however, that no decision has been taken. There's been some good discussion, and hopefully that can be now brought back to the table where some further discussion can be had in public now. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Suzanne. So I'll open the matter to debate for members. Does anyone want to start us off? Biff Grosen, go ahead.
Just a couple of quick questions on the sort of feasibility if we was to impose a condition of not using glass anymore and using the plastic alternative. What was it, polycarbonate or whatever it was? How long a timescale would maybe be reasonable to allow something like that to take place? If that makes sense, it'd take a little minute to sort of change the stock over.
Well, it would have to be a specific condition that would have to go on to the licence in that regard, Mr. Crowson. In terms of, are you suggesting that you'd want to give the licence holder time to adjust to take that into account? I guess I'm not providing such items, so I'm not sure. Maybe Harriet can give some advice as to what would be appropriate in terms of time. Would perhaps a month, would that be appropriate for them to change over the consumables being used?
Harriet, if you want to come in.
Thank you. Archie can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was already stated that the applicant is considering this use already and may already have certain types of non-glassware in the premises. I think, if a specific condition is to be applied to the licence, the LSO and the Police Scotland would obviously take into consideration that the applicant would need sufficient time. These things don't happen overnight. It depends on whether you would like a specific condition to say that there'll be no glass or that there'll be a consideration to alternatives to glass to be applied.
Okay, and if I could just ask the LSO then, is to say no glass at all, is that going to be acceptable? Has other premises managed it? Or?
Off the top of my head, I do know that some areas do manage it. Again, unfortunately, that's a decision yourselves as the board would need to make.
And do you think it would be helpful to put a timescale on it, and would a month be reasonable?
Again, I don't have any experience in purchasing or obtaining drinkware. Certainly, I'd be looking at probably more than a couple of weeks, but no more than a month. I would think that would be reasonable, but again, I'm afraid that's a decision for yourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And Jeff Goodall, come ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification, we're in discussion now. Should we still be asking questions? Just wondered, because we have to move this along.
I'll just come in there. Yeah, it is correct. It's about a debate now as opposed to asking questions.
Asking questions. Okay, thank you for that. Jeff, if you want to go ahead.
Okay. My concerns, having listened to all the evidence and in a private discussion, as well as from the representatives here, is that there seems to be a falling off of standards. And I think what we have to do is to get those standards back on track and to ensure that those standards are robust enough and in the future that they are adhered to. Now, how do we do that? In my view, I think we don't want to harm the business, but we want to make sure that all of our objectives are adhered to. And that includes not, in my view, passing this problem onto other areas of Peterhead. I think the most sensible thing would be for us not to issue a written warning, but to put a shot across the owner's bows by saying, yeah, we've got to do something, and you've got to understand that we're quite serious. This situation can't go on, and we should probably have a curfew. The curfew, in my view, should be probably about 1:30, and add to that things like what Jeff said earlier about glass and other items that would increase safety and the future profitability really of the business, because if you get a bad name in your business, then people may stop coming to it. So that's my bit of the...
Thanks very much for that, Jeff. Just to clarify, when you say curfew, you mean put a condition onto the licence that last entry would be 1:30 a.m.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Sullivan, Mel.
I'm thinking along the same lines. A written warning is not sufficient. There's been plenty of opportunities for change, and if the police are not satisfied that lasting change is happening, then yeah, we need to mandate something else. I would be looking, I'm not putting a formal motion forward, but I would be looking in the general direction of a specific condition on last entry time to bar 57, but I would be thinking more like midnight. This is assuming that there can be no transfer between the pub part, the Cali, and the bar. And I would also say that the club has to close at 2 o'clock on weekends. At the moment, it's 3. Glass gone by the end of the year. I think that seems reasonable. But I did notice on page 94, there's additional conditions, number 2, about Hogmanay. I believe it's allowed to stay open till something like, I haven't written this bit down, but I think from memory it was 4 a.m. and they can use the Cali bar, they can use the pub bit as an overflow from the nightclub. I think it would be reasonable to allow that exception on that one night. But that's my starter for 10.
Thank you very much. Mr. Adams-Stewart.
Yeah, thank you. I find myself in agreement there with Mel that a 1 a.m. last entry and a 2 a.m. closure is along my line of thinking, and supporting Jeff and the issue of polycarbonate glasses. That would be my thinking in summary. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. And Mr. Maynard, Richard.
Hi. I find myself in agreement with Mel and Stuart. Also would like to see some sort of enhancement to the training regime. not only for just the door staff, not only with the door staff, but also the bar staff as well. I think I'm picking up there that there's not enough training across the board, and I think it needs to be increased and more rigorously enforced. What's been going, what is needed and what's required of them. So if we could put something in regarding that as well, it would be good.
Can I take guidance from you, Harriet? Is that possible to put a condition on regarding training, considering we already have conditions on training?
I'll let Suzanne come in as the deputy
Okay.
clerk first, and if she wants me, I'll come in after, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine, Suzanne.
In terms of, you know, we've obviously heard that they've had done the mandatory training, and that's been supported by the LSO when checks were done. I guess there's no harm in putting a specific condition on that, you know, evidence, and that's been redone recently in terms of that area, if you wanted that to be evidenced within a specific time. If you're obviously, you know, if there's a feeling in the room that that's not adequate, or in some way that perhaps there's been staff changes, you know, has there been new staff come in since that checks were done, etc.
Okay. Harriet?
I would probably just take this opportunity to maybe for the board to remind the licence holder of the mandatory conditions that are already attached to the licence. We may take this time to remind them that they may want to do refresher training, but as a specific condition, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. It's already a mandatory condition on the licence, and they do have you know, a responsibility to adhere to that. The LSO also picks up on, you know, training incident logs, etc., when they do their inspections. So there is already quite a high condition on the licence to ensure that compliance with that. The members may just want to re-emphasise that to the applicant at this time.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Does anybody else wish to come in on debate? No, I'm not seeing any indications. So I will move on then. Can board members please confirm that you've received sufficient evidence upon which to make a decision today?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right then. Can I call for a motion moving forwards then, please?
Can I just come in before
Yes,
anybody
Suzanne,
puts
go
forward a
ahead.
motion? If it's just a reminder to members that you have to find or establish whether that review has been established firstly before making a determination in terms of the action being taken. So just a reminder to members in that regard. And when given any reasoning, if you could also have in mind to the licensing objectives and your reasoning beyond that, thanks.
Okay. So in that case, can we agree that we have found that there is a reason for review in this case? I would say yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Is that sufficient, Suzanne?
Sorry, can I get clarity what that is? Is that in relation to one or more of the conditions being breached, or in relation to non-compliance with the licensing objectives?
Would anyone like to have any input on that? Jenny, your hand has gone up since I asked the question, so I'm going to bring you in.
Okay, yeah, I'm content. I would say that we are taking that into account with the 4 licensing objectives that were raised by Police Scotland. So preventing crime and disorder, securing public safety, preventing public nuisance, and protecting and improving public health.
Is that sufficient, Suzanne?
Is that enough, Suzanne? Yeah.
Yes, that's fine. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, if that's sufficient on that part, then I will move to call for the motion. And Jeff Crowson, you had your hand up first. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm going to attempt this. I probably need some help along the way too. I would like to propose, put forward a motion. So there's going to be a motion for a variation on the licence that's held, that I wouldn't be changing the actual hours of the licence as it stands, but would be adding conditions one of a curfew, which, listening to all the concerns, all the members, that I would now actually make 1 o'clock would be my proposal for the curfew. There would also be a condition that glasses do not be used in the premises, and that the plastic alternatives are to be used instead. And this, I think, an acceptable timescale to that would be 1 month. Should be enough to reorder stock and that and place the glass and put that into place. I think this would be preferable until waiting to the end of the year so that we get it in time for the busy festive season. I think to get it done before that would be appropriate and helpful. Can we put in a condition that either the door staff has body cameras or that the door staff are covered by a CCTV camera? Is that possible to do?
I think from what has already been said by the applicant, by the licence holder, I think they are already covered by cameras and they are looking into body cams, but I suppose we can also condition it. Just to clarify on your first variation, would be adding a condition that the last entry time for
The last entry time, yes, sorry.
For bar 57 is 1 AM.
Yes.
Bar 57 being the nightclub,
the nightclub,
as opposed to the Cali Bar, which has a closing time of 1 AM anyway, just to clarify.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And that would include a time for people moving from one bar
to the other.
They're treated as a separate entity, so that would be treated the same as if they were coming from another premises elsewhere. The last time for coming in is 1 o'clock, and I think that would be my conditions. If I had a seconder and they want to add conditions to that, then that would be fine.
Is anybody that has their hand up willing to, yeah, Jeff Goodall, you're waving at me, so I'm going to let you come in.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I would second that. I was thinking along the same lines myself, so I'll second Jeff's motion.
Super. Did you have anything you wanted to add or not?
No, I think that's sufficient. I mean, the training aspect would have been my preferred route, but we've already been told that we can't do that. But I hope that Carol will beef up training in the future. Okay, that's fine. Thanks very much. Trevor Mason, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to propose an amendment.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to, can we change the core hours in line with the police recommendation to 1 AM closing? I feel if the business model doesn't fit with the licensing objectives, then we're not going anywhere. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a seconder? Suzanne, you've put your hand up. Would you like to come in?
I was going to come back in relation to Mr. Croson's motion and just asking him to tie that into the licensing objectives. And whilst I'm on it, I'll just refer also to Mr. Mason's in a similar way, but also just checking with Mr. Mason, is that just a standalone variation that you're amending, that you want an amendment? Your amendment is just the restriction in terms of the core hours and nothing else that has been mentioned already?
That's it, just the core hours, closing at 1 AM. I think that's what the police recommended. I think that's what I would like to go along with. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And nothing about the glasses? Okay.
It becomes a normal pub then, doesn't it? Really, as you mentioned earlier on, it takes away the nightclub status.
Yeah. Okay.
So we don't need to do that then.
Right. Okay. Just asking again, does Mr. Mason's amendment have a seconder? I don't actually see anybody indicating that they're to second that. So unfortunately, that one falls. Mel, you have your hand up.
I was also going to propose an amendment, but could maybe the monitoring officer give me a quick rundown of what the motion is now, please?
Sorry, the motion as it stands is with Mr. Crowson, is that he's seeking a variation to the licence to add a specific condition around the last entry to bar 57 at 1 AM. That no glasses are to be used in the premises, that they're to be replaced with plastic alternatives within the month of determination today, and that he wished a specific condition that door staff required to be covered by CCTV.
Okay, thank you.
So
in
Mel,
that case,
would you like to go ahead?
I would like to propose an amendment to that, please.
Okay, go for it.
I would like to propose a specific condition on last entry time for bar 57 of midnight. That's including transfers from the Cali bar. And I would like to propose that it closes at 2, even on weekends. With regards to glass, I would say that customers are not to be given drink in glass receptacles. And I would say that by the end of the year. So that way you can still have beer in glass bottles behind the bar, but then they need to be poured out into a glass. Because if you say no glass in the whole place, then that becomes a little bit more problematic. I think that was it. Yeah, last entry time, closing. Oh, and to keep the page 9 additional conditions too, so that they can still have a proper Hogmanay bash. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is anyone wanting to second that? Stuart Adams, you have your hand up.
I'd be happy to second Mel's amendment.
Okay.
Just with maybe one addition, that we include the CCTV or the body cam for the door staff. Thank you. I hope that Mel's agreeable to that then. Thank you, Mel.
Yeah, okay. And Richard and Maynard, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was couldn't get my hand down quick enough. I was going to second that that amendment.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fair enough. Okay. So Mel, you didn't necessarily put that to the explain your reasons for your amendment within the licensing objectives. Could you add a little bit more?
That would be to prevent crime and disorder, to secure public safety, and to prevent public nuisance.
Okay, Suzanne, is that adequate?
Sorry, I'm just writing just now. Can I just get you to confirm them again, Mel? Just give me one moment before I do that. In terms of the condition that was being added about the use of CCTV or body armour on door staff, I think we need to be a bit more clearer. Are you looking for CCTV to cover the door staff, or are you making a condition that they have to wear body armour? There seems to be a bit of a crossover there.
Body cams, body cameras, not armour.
Sorry, body cam. Sorry, yeah.
That might be a bit extreme.
You know. What was the intention there? There seemed to be two mentioned. There was mention of CCTV. There was also mention of body cameras. Just to be clear what that condition is.
That the entry point to the nightclub is covered by digital surveillance. Does that cover both things?
And have we not already? Have we not already heard?
I mean, it already has CCTV, so
it already has CCTV.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my wee bitty.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, if I can come in there, I think the licensee said it was his intention to equip the staff with body cams. Yep. My addition to the amendment is that I'd like that to be enforced somehow, that it does actually materialise and it's not just a statement of good faith.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Suzanne, you've got that?
Yes, thanks.
And did you get the licensing objectives?
Sorry, Mel, if you could just run through, because I think you referred to 3 of the 4, or
I
3 of the
did
5. Yeah.
preventing crime and disorder, securing public safety, and preventing public nuisance.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Harriet.
Thanks. Sorry, I just wanted to make the board aware that there is already local condition 21 applied to the licence in relation to CCTV. I know obviously you're looking to enforce it a bit more, just to make our members aware that there's already a condition that's saying where a CCTV system is installed, this must comply with the required standard and be maintained in a working order, and staff must be able to operate the system. Images recorded on CCTV must be kept for at least 7 days and must be made available to Police Scotland on request. They do also have door stewards condition number 20 already applied to bar 57 as well, just in case you haven't noticed or you want to review that condition, to make sure that you are aware of what's already conditioned.
Can you just run through that second condition that you mentioned there?
It is quite lengthy, but if I will go through it. So condition 20 is the premises licence holder must ensure that a sufficient number of security industry authority licensed stewards are on duty to ensure a safe and responsibly run premises. Such persons must be easily identifiable, and as such persons present display the appropriate identification and should be made aware of their duties, policies and practices by the premises licence holder. They must be responsible, capable, aware of their duties, and not drink alcoholic liquor for the duration of their active employment. Their duties are confirm that persons who seek access to the premise have paid for admission or have appropriate passes/invitations, identify and refuse entry to drunken persons, identify and refuse entry to persons banned through pub watch or by any other means, actively police the premises and perform all activities in line with their role under the Private Security Act 2001, supervise entrance doors / access points at all times to ensure that no fire or other exits are blocked, be aware of the fire safety precautions and procedures and all other policies and practices, be aware of the premises drug prevention policy, provide assistance to patrons, including customer care, directions to facilities and health and safety, ensure that no patrons remove glasses or open or close vessels from the premises when exiting for any reason, remain on the premises until the end of the permitted hours and all patrons have vacated the premises, including patrolling the vicinity outside of the premises to assist dispersal from the premises after the premises close. And finally, be aware of the provisions of the Licensing Scotland Act 2005, which impact on the running of the premises.
Okay, thank you for that, Harriet. Is everyone clear on the conditions that are already in place and are still wishing to go ahead with the body cam condition on the licence? Yep. Okay.
I would be happy if it was. Sorry.
I was just sorry. I meant to make there's also mandatory late night conditions for CCTV.
Yeah, which is CCTV though, but not body cams.
Yeah,
so it is something different. It is something different, which should incidents occur, body cams can be much more informational on what has occurred between individuals. Suzanne, I'll bring you in.
If this is a specific condition that the board members wish to apply to the licence, then to be fair, they would need a bit of time also to to gear up to get that in place. I know they've said they're indicating they're working towards that anyway, but I guess we would just need to confirm what sort of time frame would be reasonable for that as well, if that's in the motion.
Okay.
31st of December, same as for glass.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable?
Gives them 2 months.
Agreed.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have an amendment. So I'll move to summing up. The amendment is with you. Mel, would you like to sum up or add anything?
Just to say that I believe this is necessary and that I believe there's no problem with the licence holder coming back in a few months next year to ask for a review of the conditions if they feel the situation has changed in a material fashion. But at the moment, I think given the police advice this is a good compromise. They get to stay open later, but they have a curfew. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Jeff Grayson, if you would like to sum up for the motion. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, thanks, Chair. And if I try and explain things a bit clearly, if you keep me right if I'm not.
You will.
So my motion putting forward, giving consideration to crime disorder and preventing public nuisance and the health and safety, would be to put a curfew in for last entry to the premises of 1 o'clock AM, and also for glass to be removed for the use of the customers. Just to be clear, so that's when it crosses the bar, for the customers not to have glass receptacles to be used, and a condition that we move to have the door staff with body cams. I think for the glass to be removed, I would have put on a timescale of 1 month. But for the body cams on the people in the door, I would give a longer time of 2 months for that to be implemented.
Okay.
If that makes sense for the glass.
Yeah, thanks very much. So can I ask the Deputy Clerk to confirm the motion and the amendments, please, before we move to a vote?
Yeah, just before I do that, I was just going to ask Ms Sullivan, just to, in terms of a summing up, I know you did, when you made the motion, just make reference to the licensing objectives as well, and just for clarity for those listening, thanks. Just as part of your summing up.
That this amendment is for the purposes of preventing crime and disorder, securing public safety, and preventing public nuisance. Is that what I needed to say? Again,
that's
yep.
Fine. And can I just ask both in terms of the motion and the amendment, in terms of the condition for the glass, is that to be applied across the board for the whole premises licence, or just bar 57?
Bar 57 for me.
Just bar 57.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
if you
very
just bear
much.
with me, I will.
Yeah.
I'll just come back to bar 57.
Am I allowed to say that I'm being mindful of the fact that there is 2 separate premises? So the timescale of moving over to glass on one of the premises, there is another premises that can use other stock that may not have been shifted in that timescale. And it's not part of the motion, but just for consideration.
Okay, are we ready? Are we happy for me just to take us through the motion?
Please.
So the
Please
motion
do.
sits with Mr. Crowson, and it was seconded by Mr. Goodhall, and that is that there is a variation to the premises licence by adding a specific condition around the last entry to bar 57 being at 1 AM, so that be caps at 1 AM. There's also a specific condition around the use of customers not being able to use glass receptacles and moving towards plastic alternatives, and that has to take place within 1 month of today's date, and that is within the bar 57 as well. And finally, in relation to the motion, it was that a specific condition was added to say that door staff required to be covered by body cameras within 2 months of today's the determination today. And then the amendment sits with Mel Sullivan, and it was seconded by Mr. Adams, and that is that there's a specific condition added to the licence in relation to the last time of entry to bar 57 at midnight, including the transfer of people from patrons from Pally Bar to bar 57. There was also a variation to the core hours for bar 57, with it being closed at 2 AM, Monday, on the full 7 days. And there's a specific condition around customers not being given receptable glass receptacles for drinking, and that has to take place by the end of this year. And that's within bar 57. And that another specific condition is added in relation to body armour for door staff being in place also by the end of
Body
this year.
cameras.
Body cameras. Did I say armour again? I do apologise. Yes. Body cameras, thank you.
The other thing that was said was to keep the festive hours so that on Hogmanay they can still remain within.
That's correct. So, and that was within the amendment to keep the additional, to keep the festive hours. There'll be no change to that, that in terms of the licence. So that will still remain. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Harriet.
Thank you. Sorry, I'd just like to clarify if the members also were relating to no entry after the curfew. Can we just clarify that slightly? I assume if the curfew is 1:30, then people can no longer re-enter after that time as well.
Sorry, can I just check? Did I not make that 1 o'clock?
Yes, you did.
Yes.
It's 1 a.m.
Sorry, 1 a.m.
So there would be no re-entry after 1 a.m. if someone's popped out.
So it'd be no entry or re-entry is what you would like it to read. Is that correct? For both motion and the amendment?
Yeah, obviously, just to be clear, this depends on their if they have a setup for people going out smoking or not. They would have to have a system in place for that, because that wasn't really something that has been spoken about. No re-entry if people go away somewhere else, but if they have a system in place that allows someone to go outside for, I don't know if they've got a special smoking area. I don't know if it's too late to ask that or not, but
Suzanne, can that be asked?
It may be helpful if, in terms of that re-entry policy, do they have an area where they go out to smoke where they're not actually leaving the premises, or are they going straight out onto the street? Onto the street.
Mr. Hanson, would you like to come in and just answer that one specific question, please?
And anyone who's in the Calibar would go on the street, and we do have an area in the rear where people could go out and smoke. We also have a stamp system, so once someone's in, they're stamped.
Okay, so bar 57 has its own designated smoking area. Is that what I'm hearing? Yes. Okay.
So thank you. If we're restricting no entry, that's not going to prohibit people going out to smoke. So that would resolve that issue. It would appear there's an area.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
I'm happy with the amendment being no entry or re-entry then under those circumstances.
Yeah, because we are putting these conditions on bar 57 as opposed to the Calibar. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. So if I could ask the clerk to take the vote then, please.
Certainly, when I call out your names, if you could just confirm whether you are voting with the motion or the amendment. Stuart Adams.
Amendment.
Dawn Black.
Amendment.
Jeff Crowson.
Motion.
Jeff Goodall.
Motion.
Trevor Mason.
Amendment.
Richard Menard.
Amendment.
Jenny Nichol.
Amendment.
Mel Sullivan.
Amendment.
And Ian Taylor.
Motion.
Would you like me to confirm?
Yes, please.
So we have 3 votes for the motion and 6 votes for the amendment. The amendment is carried. In terms of the variation and specific conditions being added to that premises licence.
Okay, Thank you very much. So I can confirm that this hearing is now concluded, and I thank you for your interest in this business. If I could ask you now to leave the meeting, Mr. Hanson. Okay, we are now on 2 o'clock. I would suggest that we take a lunch break. I think it's well deserved. Is half an hour sufficient? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's great. Okay, so we'll reconvene at 2:30. And if you could stop the recording and live streaming, please.